Essiva, this is GF Laserbolt from GamerFusion.com, and if you guys remember yesterday, I gave you guys a nice little build for you to have, especially if you're going to be playing as a team, and the best way for you guys to just stay alive and have almost about infinite ammo, infinite health, and a lot of build for you to be able to go pretty much God mode on the game. So that build was specifically made, especially if you're running with a team. If you're running solo, I mean, you could kind of use that build. But today we're going to be focusing primarily on a build that's for solo players. As you guys know, the majority of the people currently playing the game either have a team or are able to find a friend to play. But there's comes a time when maybe your teammates are not on, your friends are not on, and you're going to want to go ahead and run something solo because you can't really wait for your friends to show online. So what type of build should you use when that happens? Or if you're just running solo and you're not connected, you bought the game but you don't have Xbox Live or PSN, and you're running solo, how do you accomplish completing the side missions when they're higher difficulty, especially the daily missions, without a problem and being able to stay alive and killing out the ads? Well, today I'm going to go over what I believe to be one of the best solo builds around. So we're going to go ahead and start off and show you guys exactly what it is that I mean. So we're going to go into our abilities to start off with, and we'll talk a little bit about weapons, we'll talk about DPS, we'll talk about different builds. I just want to make sure we go over the skills, the talents, and the perks as quickly as possible. So as you guys know, quick reference, there is a medical build, there is a tech build, and there is a security build. Now with each of this type of skill tree, you guys are going to have different abilities that you could use. As you guys know, when you go here, you could pick a mod, and on the right hand side, if you press X, it'll ask you to equip which different type of mod you want. So for the first one we're going to want to pick is the mod called Booster Shot. So temporarily increases damage for effective range targets in addition to the normal healing effect. So what does this exactly mean, and what does this do as opposed to these other ones, right? So pretty much this is like your first aid, right? The device can be used to locate and launch to distract targets. The device can revive down teammates, and this one. But this one right here, the Booster Shot, is specifically made for when you're in trouble. Why do we pick this one over, like let's say a medical kit or anything like that? The reason we go ahead and pick that one is because the Booster Shot actually allows you to heal yourself while you're in movement. Not only that, but in addition to that, it gives you the ability to increase damage. So if you're running away from a situation or your health dips down really, really low, you're going to be able to use this Booster Shot to not only run away, and also cause a little bit more damage while you're running, but it also automatically heals you at the same time. So this is actually a really, really good one. Another cool thing about this one is it's not like if you were to place down one of like the med kits. The reason I don't like them place down med kits when you're running solo is, first and foremost, those get destroyed. Second of all, if you're moving away from the circular area where you place the mod kit, you don't get the healing power anymore. You don't get the heal anymore. So that's really deterrent in the sense that if you're on the move, because usually when you're running solo, you're going to be on the move a lot. You're going to constantly need to actually have something where you don't have to constantly be placing it down to increase that effect. Next up, we're going to be talking about our tech side of the side. Now this one is actually pretty interesting because a lot of people shine upon and don't really like the turrets. A lot of people like the seeker mines. Don't get me wrong, the seeker mines are really beastly and they do a lot of damage. A lot of people like sticky bombs as well, but I am a proponent when it comes to playing solo for the turret. Why am I a proponent for the turret, and why do I think it's such a great addition? So we're gonna go a little bit over the talents in one sense within this one, but bear with me and stick with me at this current moment. So the reason I think the turret is actually a very, very effective. All right, so now that we've gone over our medical wing and we are able to heal ourselves, so let's go talk a little bit about tech and technology and what we're able to use when it comes to tech. I know a lot of people shine upon the turrets a lot because they're easily destroyed. They don't do a lot of damage, but what we have to pick from, we have sticky bombs and we have seeker mines. Seeker mines are actually really, really good, but we're going to be talking specifically what works for solo. Now, there's a things I want to point out for you for the turrets. So, two things. One thing is this is going to be a choice of preference. You could either go with the fire burning turret, or you could also go with the turret that stuns people. So let's go ahead and show you guys exactly what I mean. So we have the fire turret, which is this one, all right, and we have the shock turret. This one's a turret that shoots electrical darts and damages and shocks multiple targets. Now, this one is all going to be primarily focused on your choice. If you want to go with the shock one, or if you want to go with the Dragon Breath. So you're going to pick Sapper or Dragon Breath. That's going to be all primarily focused on what you want to choose, okay? So if you're happy with Fire, and if you're happy with Shock, it's going to be primarily both of them do the same thing and will cause the same type of effect. Now, it's going to be important what talent you pick, and we're going to go over that in a little bit after we move on to the talent. So the reason why do I like the turrets over the Seekers and over the mines? The reason I like the turrets is for two reasons. One way, it's a good thing to have to control an area. The reason is when you throw let's say you're in a hallway and you throw down your turret, that turret's going to kind of keep the enemy from actually progressing, moving forward, because they're going to be focused on the turret. Not only that, but when they're stunned by fire or stunned by the darts, they're going to be kind of vulnerable for you to actually shoot them and kill them. So it's going to be a very effective way for you to use this, kind of like having another person with you in the lobby or having someone else with you in the game, because it's going to help you kind of manage control of the enemies or where they're coming from. Not only that, but one thing I do like about the turrets is the turrets actually seem and work based on the AI. The AI thinks it's another enemy and they start shooting the turrets, and they're so busy focused on the turrets that you kind of have that advantage of, you know, taking them out while they're focused on the turret. So you can use them either in two ways: to control an area or to make them focus on a different area that they're not really focused on, and you maybe slip around or go around them and flank them and do anything that you like. So very, very good addition to have, especially if you're running solo. Now that we have our tech build, let's talk a little bit about what our super is going to be, or what our skill power is going to be, right? So we have the following ones we have to pick from. We have the health one, which I know a lot of people actually like, recovery link, and then we have tactical link, and then we have survival link. So the reason why I like going with survival link is for the following reason. Especially if you're playing solo, one of the key components when playing solo is there's going to be sometimes situations where you really need to get away from the enemy. If you're going to want to go ahead and get away from the enemy and you're getting shot, what you're going to want to go ahead and do is you're going to want to run away. And why does survival link actually work? Well, the name says it all. It allows you to survive. You are going to be getting a damage resistance of a whopping 80%. True, it only lasts for 15 seconds, but you're able to use this as a getaway when you're running away. So it makes it really, really good. Not only that, but you also get an increase in speed. So that means when you're running away faster, let's say you're taking off running away, when you're running away, you're going to be able to run a lot faster as opposed to the regular way you run. So you're not only going to get an increase in speed, but you also get that resistance for 80% of damage. So definitely something really, really awesome to have when you guys are going ahead and doing that. Next up, we're going to go ahead and be talking about the talents. So what exactly are the talents and what are they used for? So talents are going to be primarily based upon what exactly we're running over here on the skill section. The reason talents are going to be kind of paired up with that is because we have to pick them according to what we have. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the first one that I picked, which is called Wildfire. Why do I pick Wildfire, or why is that good? So Wildfire says applying burn to any target, and applying burn to any target triggers a 30% chance to apply the effect to all targets within. The reason why I like this is for two apparent reasons. One is because, remember, I am running a turret that throws fire. With my turret that throws fire, this will apply a 30% chance to apply the same effect to any enemy that's close to my turret. Now remember, you could also go ahead and use the Sapper one, because there's a Sapper ability that allows you to, if you pick the Sapper turret, then you could go ahead and apply that ability to the Sapper one. Now, another thing I like running this one is when you use incendiary bullets, this also applies the burn to that particular unit. And when you use the fire grenades, it also does the same thing. So definitely wildfire, if you're having a build that requires you to have the fire turret, then that is what you're going to want to roll with. Next up, the one I use is called Tech Support. Kill a hostile while any skill is deployed to extend any active skill duration by 10%. So this is actually really good, because Tech Support will give you the advantage of you being able to get your skill right back. So let's say you throw a turret, you kill a couple enemies, and it keeps the duration of that turret. Not only that, but it also gives you the ability to also be able to get that turret right back after you just threw the first one. So you pretty much are just stacking up on turrets, so you could constantly have your turret ready to go when you guys so choose, or when your turret dies off or they kill your turret. So this just gives you the ability of having your turret come back over and really fast. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Reaper Reaper. Why is Reaper Reaper? Why did I pick Reaper Reaper over some of other different type of skill set? The reason I picked this one is because, remember, this gives you the advantage of actually using your sidearm. I know a lot of people say, oh, why should I even use my sidearm? You know, my sidearm isn't good. You know, I already have a really good weapon. I have a really good sniper. You know, there's really no apparent reason to use your sidearm. Well, the reason you want to use your sidearm is for the following reason. Usually when you're playing solo, sometimes resupply cache are really hard to find, or really hard to you know, go and pick up. Sometimes you're running really low on your weapon if you're firing it a lot. Your sidearm is pretty much, think of it like having a resupply ammo all the time. The reason why is every time you kill a hostile with a sidearm, you receive 30 rounds to your primary weapon. So think about this. Let's say you shoot someone with a sniper, he's one shot, right? All you have to do is pull out your sidearm and shoot one bullet or two bullets. Boom, you have 30 bullets in your primary weapon. You're running low on ammo. You have no ammo in your primary weapon. Once again, you shoot someone with a sniper. You stun him. You throw your turret. You use your sidearm. Your sidearm is pretty much a resupply ammo for your primary weapon, which makes it very effective. The last one I pick is this one, and this one is pretty much a must-have. This is called On the Move. Kill a hostile while moving to reduce incoming damage by 30% for 15 seconds. So On the Move is very effective, especially when you're using your primary weapon. When you're using your primary weapon, you're always going to be constantly moving. You're going to be moving back and forth, left and right, shooting, you know, especially if you're dodging bullets. You're going to want to go ahead and make sure you are using this talent. This is actually one of the best talents to use, especially when you're playing any challenge mode, because you're always constantly moving. So now that we covered the skills, now that we cover the talents, let's talk a little bit about weapons and what type of build you should actually have when you're using this. So as you guys know, we have three different tiers. We have a firearm tier, a stamina tier, and an electronics tier. So pretty much your primary DPS, your health, and your skill power. Skill power, of course, is so you can get your stuff a lot quicker and get your skill faster. Then you have the health. Everybody knows what health is. And you have your DPS. So which ones should you worry about, and which ones should you be your focus? So the ones you guys should focus on primarily is on your firearms and your stamina. So DPS and health. Why do you focus on these two and not so much on electros? Because electros are going to be based primarily on skills. This build right here is primarily made for you to actually input or output the most amount of damage as possible, but also be able to receive some shots without taking damage or dying fairly quickly. What are the ideal numbers to actually have? You're going to want to go ahead and have a primary at least outputting 80,000 DPS or higher. As you guys see right now, my weapon outputs 108 DPS. Now this is actually pretty good, but you're going to want to have something in 80 or above. As far as health is concerned, 30 is kind of like the lowest you could go. You're going to want to be at least in the 30s or in the 50s for your health. So that is what you guys are going to be looking for. I'm not going to be talking specifically about any sort of gear, because everybody's going to be, you know, gets different gear. But there's a couple things I do want to point out for you guys when you're looking for gear. Look for gear that has the following types of stuff. So for example, if you notice this backpack, it says it has 10% kill hassle, 10% disrupt resistance, 25 ballistic shield damage, and support station unhealed. As opposed to this one has ammo capacity. It increases my ammo by a whopping 33+%, so it gives me a lot more ammo. It gives me ballista shield, smart cover as well. So for example, let's say you're trying to decide, okay, you know what, I have 108, but I could increase my health by 44%. It drops my DPS by about 8,000. Is it worth it? Yes, of course it's worth it. Your health goes that high up, plus it has a better build. Now, for example, if you're trying to figure out, you know, what works or what doesn't work, this is another example I want to go ahead and use. For example, this rapid assault gloves, this one says marksman rifle damage, it gives you plus 1,490. So if you're going to be using a sniper marksman rifle, definitely going to have to go with this one, because you're going to be using that one. Not only that, but remember, we're using our pistol to get kills. This one gives us pistol damage plus 402 pistol damage. Really, really cool. And one perk that I love, and you guys should definitely always be looking out for, is the one in the bottom. It says plus 9% on health on kill. If you kill someone, it gives a 9% of health back to you when you go ahead and kill someone. So that's what you're going to want to be looking for. Another perk you're probably going to want to be looking for, which comes in the mask and on the knee pads, are the ones that allow you to do scavenger. So pretty much scavenger gives you the ability to be able to you know, find better loot within the game. I'll make a separate video talking a little bit about that and the buff and the nerf regarding that aspect. So what weapons do I recommend when running solo? So we already talked about skills, we already talked about talents, we already talked about what level of primary DPS you want to build, what type of health you want to build, and those are the two you want to focus on. But what weapons should you use when running solo? The weapons I recommend are the following. Definitely a marksman sniper rifle is a must, guys. If you're going to be running this, it is very, very important to have a sniper rifle. The reason is because your primary is going to be more of an up-close weapon. You're not going to want to go ahead and use anything that has to do like a shotgun in this case. Shotguns are not that effective. You're going to definitely want a marksman or a sniper. It just does a lot more damage and helps you kind of fight the enemies from further distance. Not only that, but you're going to be rocking a SMG. Why are SMGs so good in this game? They are just a monster. They melt people down like cheese put on fire. It's just like crazy, man. So SMG, any SMG will do. Make sure you guys go ahead and use your mods, and when you pick your mods, make sure you pick them not only based on the damage they output when you put the mod, but also based upon them being effective, or, you know, as long as it pushes up your primary DPS, you should be golden. And then you have your marksman, which is your secondary weapon. That's going to pretty much be your sniper, and that's what you're going to go with. Sidearm, you can pick any sidearm. The reason why I like picking the sidearm is because, like I said, the sidearm is going to pretty much something that's going to allow us to refill our ammo. So there you have it, folks. That is the best solo build, one of the best solo builds you could actually build, giving you a lot of power, giving you a lot of health, giving you the ability to not only incorporate your skill sets, but also use your turrets as most effectively as possible, and allowing you to complete these missions solo. Now, do I recommend this build if you go, you know, and play the challenge mode? Challenge modes are very difficult to do, and the best way I would suggest for you to do is just try to find a group of people, use matchmaking, and go in there. And do I recommend this build for the Darkness Zone? Not entirely. I'm going to be making a build specifically for the Darkness Zone if you guys are going in solo. Well, let me know in the comments section down below if you found this video helpful and informative. If you did, make sure you share it with your friends and let them know if they're, you know, running solo, or if you have anybody that runs solo, let them know and come and check out the video. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment. And once again, for all things The Division, head over to GamerFusion.com, where we empower your gaming.